Spanish Grand Prix, and I hope you are also ready for the Spanish Grand Prix. Put the YouTube stream there, as always, for people that do want it. And yeah. It's looking pretty warm there. It did rain first thing in this morning at the circuit, though. I understand that Alex Albon is starting from the pit lane as well. Juice, how you doing? So... yeah, Alex Albon's actually technically starting at the back because he changed some power unit elements, so he's starting from the pit lane. It's all going to be pretty spicy. Pretty spicy. I think the start's going to be arguably the most important. My gut instinct, though, tells me that Verstappen will have enough race pace to win. I don't know what you guys think, but my instinct is the Max will have enough race pace. Twitch gave you an indefinite suspension. What for, Juice? What did you do? What? Sean, how you doing? Howdy doody. Yeah, I think the start's going to be very important. You got two Mercs next to each other, two Ferraris. If Max gets ahead of Lando at the start, then I think it's already game over. But I think even still, Max will have enough pace. Wait, your username? Is your username being mistaken for something else? Juice. Is that where that confusion has come from? I see. Can you appeal this and say, listen, obviously this is you've misunderstood? I don't see. I see it all. I see a world where Lewis has the opportunity to get into turn one and has an accident and ruins his whole weekend. I see that possibility. I'd be surprised if a Merc led into turn one. I think the Ferraris will be hoping that they can get ahead. What? They rejected your appeal? That's mad. It's your username isn't what they think it is. I wonder if that's an automated system. Flavio's there, is he? I haven't seen any of the build-up. He's in the paddock on the grid. Oh wow. I didn't realise he was at the Grand Prix. Well, well, well. I had no idea he was actually there, to tell you the truth. I mean, like I say, his ban from the paddock was overturned, but I'm sure he has been in the paddock over the years. I mean, I can't pinpoint a time when he was, but I'm sure he has been. I just can't pinpoint it. Flavio. Right then. Before the race starts, everyone get your predictions in. Who you think's going to win? Sadly, I do think it's going to be Verstappen. I think he will have the race pace to get past and win. Every time I see this intro, Lando looks more and more like the Mandalorian to me. His walk. He just looks like the Mandalorian. He has the same mincy walk. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but the fact that a McLaren has ended on pole on a circuit like this bodes well for the rest of the season. Also, McLaren prefer they prefer fast circuits. So circuits like Silverstone coming up, they're going to expect to be very strong there. Max, Lewis, Lando. You reckon Lewis is going to get ahead of Lando? Oof. I'm not sure I see it, guys. I mean, we'll see. I see George on the radio. If George doesn't get past Lewis at the start, I see him on the radio straight away saying, let me through, let me through. I see it. Clear as day. Good noon, Eddie. Welly. George Russell's going to do a Vin Diesel Tokyo drift into turn 1, pinball Max, Lewis, and Norris out of the way and get a win. Perez victory, yeah. Well, Perez doesn't actually... Perez is starting outside the top 10 again. He did qualify 8th, didn't he? But he's... he obviously has a 3-place grid penalty from Canada. So he's got some... he's got some work to do. He's got some work to do. A 20% risk of rain. I mean, it may as well be 0. Look at those blue skies. I tell you what, if you put a bet on Perez winning this race from 11th, you'd get some pretty wild odds, I tell you that. I don't know if it's a little bit dark in here, guys. I haven't put any of my lights on because it was already quite warm, so... No extra lighting. I thought it'd just be fine. You don't need to see my face anyway, do you? Let's be honest. Perez DNF. Oh, no. Perez, well, what happens to Perez quite a lot is he starts out of position, usually outside the top 10, and he gets into, and I'm not saying they're his fault, but he gets caught up in that midfield battles, like he did in Monaco, like he did at the start of Canada, and ends up like making a bit of contact, and you know, he had damage to his wing in Canada because he made contact. Obviously, he was taken out of the race in Monaco. Being further down the pack just puts you more at risk to those sorts of incidents. Because in the middle of the pack, they're out there fighting for their lives. Russell will take on... I tell you what. None of you think very fondly of George Russell, do you? And I'm saying I don't particularly like the guy, but none of you think very highly of Russell. Whenever I hear any of you talking about Russell, it's usually he's going to bottle it, he's going to crash into someone, or he's a prick. It's basically one of those. Hey, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not criticizing any of you, by the way. I said yesterday I don't like him, and I don't know why I don't like him. It's just his demeanor. I completely agree that there's something about him that's unlikable. And this is even more apparent to me. Everyone's starting on the softs, by the way, apart from Albon. This is more apparent to me after so many other people think the same thing. So it's not like I think, well, he's not a very likable person and other people think he is. Lots of people, most of you, get that same feeling from him as well. And so I do find that quite interesting. Max is starting on a used set of softs, even though he has a new set. I'm pretty sure both Mercs will be starting on a used set of softs as well, because they don't have a new set, I don't think. Pretty sure. So Norris is on a new set. Verstappen, Hamilton, Russell are all on a used set of softs that have done 3 laps. Both Ferraris are on a brand new set of softs. So these are the people we need to look out for. Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, new softs. Norris, new softs. Verstappen, Hamilton, Russell, used. Only 3 laps, but we know that that makes a big difference. Makes a big difference. I thought people would start on mediums. I honestly didn't think they would start on the softs, given how rough it was. But there we go. Could be spicy, Eddie. It could be. Ferraris, you'd expect the Ferraris to get a good start on those new softs. So. Right, I will tell you, as always, when the light's going on. We're still finishing the formation lap. It's been a very slow formation lap, actually. Right, we're almost there. We're almost there. Green flag. Light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go. Oh, they were held for a long time. Good start from Norris. I think Russell might be ahead of Lewis going in. Oh, Lewis had a terrible start. George Russell goes into first. George Russell from 4th is in first into the first corner. Woo! What a start that was. Wowzers. Yeah, Hamilton almost got taken by one of the Ferraris, but managed to hold on. Wowzers. What a start from George. I need to see that again. He had a really, really good launch. Really good launch. Yeah, I need to watch it again because I was so focused on George going around the outside, Affy, that I didn't really see Norris and Max very much. I'd need to watch that back. Hey, credit where credit's due, though. You might not like him, but it was a great start. Like, I mean, yeah, Norris was so busy focused on Max that no one saw Russell storming around the outside. Fair play, man. Fair play. Max is already right on the tail of George, by the way. Listen, guys, I don't like George, but I would rather see George win than Max. He's a British driver. I'd rather see George win than Max. I mean, come on. Oh, yeah. Max pushed his way through there. Absolutely did him. George tried to defend it, but no chance. Yeah, I honestly think that's race over. It was a great move. Great driving by both of them there. I thought there was a point there where they were going to make contact, but Max went round the outside. Really, really good. George went to the inside. There's not much more he can do. Max already out of DRS. Already out of DRS. I think ultimately the Red Bull's going to have too much race pace. Happy. Norris Verstappen has been noted forcing another driver off the track. I need to see the start again. To be honest, I need to see the start again. Did they switch the Ferraris? Was Charles Leclerc not ahead of Sainz? Have I missed something there? Also, Deg's going to be so important around here, guys. I mean, these soft tires aren't going to last. I think they want to get these soft tires to lap 18. Do you mean Morris, Welly? Have you mistyped Norris, or you're mocking him by saying Morris? I wasn't sure if you were just mocking him. Oh, either. I just wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure. Oh, the two Ferraris are all over each other. Max is out front, but he's only ahead by just over a second. He's not pulled away. I mean, yeah, Perez is currently in 11th place, and he's well over a second behind Hulkenberg. So Lewis had a bad start, and he was lucky to not get taken by the Ferraris. The fact that Lewis got back past both of those Ferraris is incredible, really, considering how much of a bad start he had. It was a terrible start from Lewis. Let's just have a look at the start again. I'm just rewinding a little bit just to see the Norris situation. Yeah. No, I don't think there'll be anything from the Norris incident, to be honest. I don't think there'll be much in that. Lewis is usually pretty good at starts, but it wasn't a great start. Let's say he ended up going into turn 1 behind both Ferraris. And then he was on the inside, and one of the Ferraris, I'm not sure who it was, got stuck behind Norris, and he was able to regain the position, basically. So, yeah. Tell you what, it was a great move by George. It was so close between George and Verstappen. Oh yeah, the two Ferraris did touch. Just watching this Ferrari replay. I mean, I don't know where Charles Leclerc can go though. His wheel's right on the curb, like. He can't go any further to the inside. Sainz has just basically like come across his front wing, really, isn't he? I mean, what more can he do? I don't know what else Charles Leclerc can do though. He can't just magic his car out of the way. At the minute, it's all pretty close between the guys out front, to be honest. It's all pretty close. I'm surprised Perez hasn't got past Hülkenberg yet, though. I am surprised by that. Yeah, Sargent's in last. His teammate started in the pit lane, yet Sargent is still last. Yeah, Alonso's down in 14th. Not ideal. That was a very easy move from Bottas, wasn't it? Bloody hell. Like, they're all still in it. Max is, he is quicker, but it's only 1.6, 1.7 to Russell. And then you got Norris and Hamilton. Russell asked, what is his pushing level? And his response is, more than the others. I mean... I mean, I will say this. It's incredible the capacity of these Formula One drivers and racing drivers in particular. You see it often from Fernando Alonso. They have to concentrate on driving the car, getting it millimeter perfect, operating all these buttons on the steering wheel, often changing brake bias into various corners, discussing things with their engineer. And at the same time of doing that, they're often keeping an eye on their opponents and seeing where they're gaining and not gaining. And Fernando will be like, oh, he's pushing too hard through here or whatever. Honestly, the mental capacity these drivers have is incredible. George is going to have to hope that he isn't cooking his tyres then. He's going to have to hope that he isn't cooking his tyres. If I'll say one thing for George, sometimes he's guilty of going flat out early on and then struggling on tyre management because of it. He sometimes cooks his tyres a bit too much early in a stint, going a bit too ham. So let's hope he hasn't done that. 2 seconds the gap now, 2.2. But now the Ferraris are also in DRS. They're back within DRS of Hamilton now. So you've got Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton, Norris all in DRS behind Russell. Hmm. What was Verstappen doing? A 21 flat. Russell did a 21-1. Norris 21-1. Hamilton 21-2. Sainz 22. They're all doing very similar lap times. Oh, God, I forgot about Oscar Piastri. Bloody hell. Oscar Piastri's in 8th currently, struggling to get past Gasly. I completely forgot about Oscar Piastri. I don't think you can watch it anywhere for free. There's no way you can watch it for free. Legally. I mean, if you're talking illegally, then I've no idea. It's on Sky in the UK and Europe. Some people have said it's on ESPN. I don't know about that. I'm not sure about in America. I'm really not. ESPN in the US, apparently. Hamilton must have made a mistake. He's just dropped out of DRS and Sainz is right behind him. I think Hamilton's made a small mistake somewhere. ESPN Plus, there you go. Perez still in 11th, which is a little bit surprising to me. There is a bit of a train behind George, isn't there? Or a slow start from Haas. What can they do, though? Really wide there from Charles Leclerc. I think they're all slowing down a little bit, to be honest. As you get later in this stint now, those tyres crying out a little bit. Yeah, Alonso doesn't look very comfortable in that Aston Martin, does he? Guys, Perez got past Hulkenberg. We have had some pit stops, by the way. Zhou Guan Yu, Magnussen, Sonoda, they have stopped and put the mediums on. It's bold from Bottas, that strategy. Magnussen, false start, noted. Oh, God. They're all doing very similar lap times, to be honest, within the 10th or so. There was. Oof. Max did have a bit of a moment. There was it felt like the lights were held for a long time, didn't it? Do you know what as well? The longer they hold those lights, the easier it is for a false start. Because you just like... And yeah, it looks like that's what's happened to Magnussen. Perez pitting off the softs. Let's see what Perez does. Mediums, I presume? No, new softs. Oh no. They look like a used set of softs. Another set of softs going on, Perez. Well, that is very curious. Max has a new set of softs as well, though. Will he do it though? Hasn't pitted. I don't know if they're trying to bait Mercedes with that message to Russell to Norris though. I think maybe they're just trying to bait. Oh, terrible stop for Gasly. Right rear wouldn't come off. Or left rear as you look at... No, right rear from his perspective. 6.7 seconds. Ugh. Oh, he comes out right with his teammate. But he's going to be behind him. Fuming. Penalty for Magnussen. 5 seconds, presumably, for a false start. Yeah. That's pain for Gasly. That is pain in the membrane. Boxing Russell, there you go. Now, will Norris pit with him or stay out? Norris has stayed out. Lewis will stay out. Oh, no. George Russell slammed on the brakes into the pits there. Oh, it's a bad stop. Oh, it's a terrible stop. 5.3 seconds for George. Ooh. He's got to hope that he got it slowed down into the pit lane as well. Because he locked up getting to the speed limit line. He has to hope that he got the speed down. Lando has to pit now. They'll tell Lando to pit. Yeah, exactly. He's had a bad pit stop. Get Lando in straight away. They have to. They have to. Leclerc's got past Hamilton. Oh, Hamilton pitted, that's why. It was a good stop for Lewis. 2.3. I don't understand how Lewis is so far behind George. to be honest. After such a bad stop from Russell. I really don't understand. How is he so far back when Russell had a 5-second stop? I don't get it. What? What's gone on there? I mean, yeah. He lost 3 seconds in the pit stop, yet was still 2 seconds ahead. Wow. Wow. Yeah, 1.9 seconds. Yeah, and Sainz is ahead of Hamilton because he stopped the lap before. So Hamilton's been ruined by that a little bit. Oh, God. Imagine if he went round the outside there. That would have been insane. Hmm. Yeah, basically that undercut was crazy powerful. Crazy powerful. They're saying that George was quicker than Lewis on his outlap on those fresh tyres by over a second just in the middle sector. So yeah, he had a terrible stop, but the power of those fresh tyres was enough that he was still able to come out ahead, despite having a terrible stop. Oh, Hamilton get him? Oh, I think they made contact, you know. They made contact there. They definitely made contact. They definitely touched. Let's have a look. He goes down the inside. He's on the inside. I mean, I can't really see what came off. I mean, that's fair. That to be fair, that looked fine from Lewis's on board to me, but Sainz just didn't want to give it up, did he? Sainz just didn't want to give it up, but that looked fine to me. I don't know what you guys think. Basically, Sainz didn't want to give it up, and I think that's what's happened there. Personally, but... and yeah, something's come off the Merc. Maybe a little bit of floor. Hmm. Straight away, George Russell on the radio. I'm managing my tyre. Let's make sure we work together. It's always, when Lewis is behind, he always comes on the radio and says that. Oh, yeah, no, let's not attack each other now. But when he's behind, it's always the opposite. He's like fucking clockwork that he says that. He's clockwork. You could guarantee what he'll say. Like, you could guarantee it every time. Oh, George. Right, they're going to look at the Hamilton and Sainz incident. Let's see what they say. Verstappen now is trying to get past Piastri. Yeah, he's got past him. No, I'm not really sure, because unless I'm misunderstanding something now, in track position, Norris and Leclerc will both come out behind Russell, Hamilton, and Sainz, right? So they've lost a lot of time already. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, Aston Martin's having a shocking race so far. Okay, now Norris is boxing? Or was that Piastri? I didn't see. It's Piastri. Huh. So they're leaving Norris out. They're not going to go for a one stop, are they? Are they? I mean, last time across the line, Russell did a 20.3 and Norris did a 20.9. So, I mean, it was 0.6. So it's not like he's seconds slower. What are Mercedes going to do now? Because Hamilton is now only 1.2 seconds behind Russell. What are they? Are they going to tell Hamilton to stay behind him? What's the situation here? I don't really know. It seems like Hamilton's going quicker, maybe using more tyre, whereas George is saying he's not. So they know that they're going to fall back behind Sainz, but they'll have a tyre delta and they believe they'll be able to get back past them. I mean, listen, they obviously know what they're doing. It doesn't, on paper right now, it doesn't seem like the correct play to me. But let's just see, shall we? Race control, no investigation on the Hamilton Sainz thing. I'll be honest, I thought that was fair racing. I think Sainz just didn't want to get out of it, which I understand. I think it's just... I think maybe in some situations you'd say that isn't fair, but I think the precedent has been set for what's allowed in terms of pushing drivers wide, and so I think that's well within the rules now that the FIA have set themselves. Now they're going to box Norris now. Thing is, he's lost so much time to Verstappen as well, though. And what, they think that he's going to catch Verstappen on this tyre delta? It doesn't seem like a great strategy to me on paper, but let's see how it pans out. Good stop, medium tyres. So Norris is, what, 2 or 3 seconds behind Carlos Sainz. They're now going to box Charles Leclerc as well. He's got a lot of work to do. Yes, he has fresher tyres. 7 laps or so. Newer, but... Aston have gone backwards. We were talking about this. Aston Martin, since their upgrades, have just gone the wrong way. they have been struggling. They brought these upgrades and they just seem to have just gone backwards. They're behind the bloody Saubers on race pace at the minute. 14-15 is wild. It is wild. You missed a very good move early on, Shock, from George Russell at the start. Went around from 4th into 1st. It was banging, to be fair. The rest has really been strategy so far. There's not been any crazy overtakes at the front. It's all been strategy. You've got Norris and Charles Leclerc that are on a slightly different strategy to everyone else at the minute. I wouldn't say you've missed anything else in particular, though, to tell you the truth. So Charles Leclerc comes out behind Gasly, but he'll dispatch of him very quickly. I know Sainz feels aggrieved, but honestly, if he looks at it back, it's different. I think your perspective when you're driving. I think he looks at it back, you'll see that there's nothing in it. But admittedly, when you're in the car, your mindset is completely different, and I understand that. Norris is already right behind Carlos Sainz, so honestly, guys, his pace is good. 18.5 from Lando Norris. Sainz did a 19.7 and Hamilton did a 19.9. Russell did a 19.7 and Verstappen did a 19.3. Lando Norris did an 18.5. He just did what all drivers do now to satisfy that rule, though, Sean. He just brakes really, really late so that he can say that his front axle's ahead. That's all the drivers do now. And the FIA have invited that on themselves with this stupid overtaking rule. Honestly, it's just, it is what it is. Just stay in as long as you can, and then you've got the argument that your axle's ahead, and then it's your corner. That's what everyone does. This pace from Lando is very, very good. Very, very good. Norris going to blitz past Carlos Sainz. Sainz didn't even defend it. And I'm not saying that's not the right decision. I do see it a little bit odd that he didn't even try and defend it, but he knew Norris was quicker, so I get it. I get it to an extent. Piastri's right behind Perez now. They've settled in 10th and 9th and 10th, which is interesting. Yeah, you're right. Norris doesn't want to be overdoing his tyres early on. Yeah, Lando, very quick. Very quick. I mean, Lando's doing pace that the others just aren't doing. Is that because, like, I just don't know. Is everyone else managing his tires? Because Lando's come out and he's lapping a second a lap quicker than everyone. I mean, Yeah, Perez just been overtaken by Piastri. You got Charles Leclerc, currently did an 18.8, which wasn't as quick as the lap Norris did, but Norris's last lap was a little bit slower than his initial lap. But Charles Leclerc's putting in good lap times, but he's got 6.5 seconds just to catch his teammate. Yeah, Mercedes don't have the race. They don't have the race pace to win this race. I'm not even sure they've got the race pace to finish on the podium, or at least finish second. I think Norris will get both of them. Norris is now within DRS of Hamilton. I think he'll get Hamilton pretty quickly. Like his pace is just quicker. So, we all criticized it, but at this pace, Norris will be closing in on Verstappen. But two things to note. First, is Lando cooking his tyres? Second, Max won't be going flat out. Max has got a 6-second lead. Max will be managing, and you have to assume that when he needs to, he will be able to put in better lap times as well. So it's still a mountain to climb for Lando, honestly. An absolute mountain to climb. But let's see. Let's see what Norris can pull out of the bag. I'm not really sure why they put Perez on another set of softs. I would have put him on a set of mediums. And then if he was going to run another set of softs, do that at the end of the race. I don't know why they did soft and not soft, medium, soft. Not really sure. The problem is, though, Tom, Perez has basically, to use your analogy, he's invited the meme on himself. Perez has become a bit of a meme at Red Bull because he's allowed himself to become that meme, hasn't he? At the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, Hamilton closed the gap to Russell, but then I feel like he's just been holding station, but Norris will get past. It's just a case of when, I think. The McLaren looks so much more planted to me. Like, his tyres are only 6 laps newer. It's not like they're 20 laps newer. Russell isn't going to back up, right? Russell only talks about team play when it benefits him. Genuinely, I believe that. If I don't see him falling back to give Lewis DRS, but if the tables were turned, I do think he would suggest Lewis did it for him. Russell talks a big game about team play, but it's only when it benefits him. Turn this one of these lights on here because it's getting quite dark. I mean, Norris will be past this lap, I think. Yeah, I mean, he's passed before the braking zone. The McLaren just looks better, doesn't it? In race pace. On race pace, the McLaren looks better around here compared to the Mercedes. Well, yeah, George is a sitting duck now. Admittedly, I think they had to do the DRS strat, but maybe it was suggested, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Well, it's true, Afro, but it was only like, we're only talking, you know. We're only talking 6 laps, fresher tyres, but yeah. Hamilton and Russell, to an extent, look like they're struggling a little bit. Hamilton definitely looks like he's struggling on these tyres. The problem for Norris now is that even when he gets past Russell, he's got a big deficit to get, you know, to bridge to Max Verstappen. So yeah, that has been what Toto was saying, that they struggle in hotter temperatures. Like that is one of their issues, I think. Tire deg. I think they're okay in the first sort of part of a stint, but as it gets to the, you know, they've been on these mediums for 16 laps now. As they get into that second phase, they really struggle. There will be another stop, but I think they'll try and go long in this middle phase, I guess. Ferrari fallen back a little bit, haven't they? Piastri working his way through the field. Up into 7th now, Piastri. Yeah, there is another stop to go. You just have to assume, though, that Max Verstappen isn't going to give up an 8.5-second lead. He isn't. I feel like there's too much of a mountain to climb for Norris now. I think they've kind of given the chance of the win up, in my mind. I don't see Max giving up a lead that size. I think they've let it get too big. And you are right, Perez has stopped again. We didn't see it. Or I didn't pay attention to it, one or the other. Perez is down in 13th now after stopping for a second time. He's cleared the soft tyres now. He's back on the mediums. He's going to have to go to the end now, though. I mean, Norris just going to do him around the outside. I mean, honestly, it was a waste of time from George, that. Why is he fighting it? I'm not sure there's much of a point in doing this, as much as I like to watch it. I appreciate it, and I suppose I criticized Sainz for not defending, so I appreciate it. But he's just futile, I suppose, isn't it? But yeah, it's nice to see. I can't criticize someone for not defending and then criticize someone for defending. It was nice to see him at least put up a fight. Yeah, well, this is what I mean. By doing that, he's let Lewis into his DRS, so he's actually kind of, I say ruined himself. I don't think Lewis will try anything on him. I don't think Lewis has got the tyres, if I'm being honest. I really don't think Lewis has got the tyres. Lewis looked like he was struggling. It was a fair fight between Russell and Norris. It's fair. But Norris was always going to blitz past him, wasn't he, on those tyres? He looked so much quicker. Like, so much quicker. It was nice driving from Lando. Used a bit of battery down there, I think. Nice. Yeah, Norris will have some pretty good pace, I think. Well, let's see what Norris's pace is. Currently, the gap's 8.8 to Max Verstappen. Oh, George Russell's pitting. Straight away. No messing about. Give me that undercut, please. Hards. Sainz pitting as well. Norris is already 2.3 seconds ahead of Lewis. That's how much of a pace difference he had. Like, Norris is now only 8.3 seconds behind Verstappen. He was half a second quicker than Verstappen last lap. But like I said, Verstappen will be managing his tyres. Verstappen ain't going flat out at the minute. He's just been cruising. I think George has stopped too early there. What do you guys think? I feel like that's quite an early stop. He's got to go the half distance now on those same tyres. They've just run a medium and a soft to get to halfway, and he's now got to just have a hard now to get to all the way to the end. I think Lewis will stay out on these mediums and ultimately will stay behind George, but will have better tyres at the end. If I was Hamilton, that's probably what I would do. Maybe the same for someone like Leclerc. Norris can do what he wants because he's just much quicker. So, yeah, I don't know. If he's got to go on these hards now all the way to the end of the race, what are we doing? 26. I mean, it's not that bad, is it, actually? 28 laps on the hards. Hamilton's done 21 on the mediums, so I suppose that's fine. Yeah, it's not that much of a big deal, is it? Last time across the line, Verstappen did a 19.8, Norris did a 19.2. So, Russell, 18.3 last time across the line on the fresh hards. Sainz did an 18.8. Hamilton, for comparison, did a 19.6. Norris did a 19.3. Yeah, Sainz is going good guns. Ferrari haven't really had... their race pace has pretty much been the same as Mercedes. It's not been that different. But they've not had the race pace that I thought they'd have in terms of competing with McLaren. I thought they'd have more of a chance of competing against McLaren in the race, but hasn't really been the case, has it? Yeah, they did. Once it all settled out and that DRS train stopped, they fell back from the Mercedes. Hamilton had a really bad lap there. He just did a 20 flat. Leclerc behind him did a 19.4. Norris did a 19.2. Verstappen just did a 20.3. So that gap is closing quite a lot from Norris at the minute. No, Max isn't pushing, but at the same time, whether he's pushing or not, the gap is coming down. Which ultimately means that in that final stint, it's going to be a lot closer, so... 4 seconds in a final stint is a lot more manageable than 10. So... anything Norris can eke out in this stint, I think, gives him at least a fighting chance. Two Saubers fighting each other. Oh no, sorry, I beg your pardon. That's an Aston Martin and a Sauber. Which is Stroll getting past Bottas. .7 seconds the gap. Interesting. Oh God. Russell saying his tire doesn't feel good. He's already sliding. Yeah, I think these guys at the front ain't putting no hard tire on. Yeah, but I don't think that's a problem, Current, because Norris needs to stop again. I think Norris is just going to wear those tires out, bridge the gap, and then they'll stop. I think that's exactly what the plan is. So I don't think it's a concern. It doesn't matter. That's because they're going to be stopping in the next few laps. So he's going to burn through those tires now. He doesn't need to manage them because it's going to be another stop. He's just going to literally burn through them. He did the tire delta in the first stint and went long. So he's got 6 or 7 laps, you know, in his pocket, if you like. Smash those tires now. Get the gap down as much as you can, if you can. And then, you know, in the final stint, it's then the heads up thing, because they'll probably both stop then roughly the same time. And the gap, instead of being 10 seconds, will be 4. Bernie Collins thinks they're going to try and put softs on at the end. Now, I know for a fact that Verstappen has a fresh set of softs. I don't think... Oh, Hamilton's pitting now. So we'll see what he puts on. Mediums? Softs. Softs. Hamilton's putting softs on. So he's going to do 22 laps on the softs, which is doable. They did that early in the race, so that won't be a problem, I don't think. Yeah, I agree. This is what Bernie Collins was saying. She said she thinks the top 4 will all put soft tires on. And I think you're right. I think that's exactly what will happen. We'll just see, you know, how he'll manage. It's a 3-lap old set of softs. But will they last? I mean, we'll see. Will a degrading soft be better than a wearing hard? They're going to box Verstappen now as well. So this is going to be the cork in the bottle. You said Ruth on F1 TV said lap 45, it should all kick off. We're starting lap 45, so that was pretty much bang on. Oh, it wasn't the best stop. I say that, it was 2.8 seconds. It looked a lot slower than it was. It looked a lot slower than it was. 2.8 seconds for Verstappen. So Verstappen is on a new set of softs. Huh. Yeah, so Norris has to push. 22.9 first sector for Norris. But then Hamilton just put in a 22.6. Hamilton's got to get past Carlos Sainz like ASAP. Yeah. He thought better of that. He lost time doing that. I can understand why, though. No point risking it, but I think he should have sent it. Yeah, you're probably right. It was probably smart not to. He will get him down the back straight. No point risking it. Oh, is it... when you say Ruth Wilco, is it Ruth... Ruth Buzzcombe? Yeah. Yeah, Ruth's really good. Knows her stuff. Right, Hamilton's now got ahead of Carlos Sainz. It was always going to happen on the those soft tyres. Got Russell that's just got past Piastri, who hasn't done another stop. Ask Norris, do you think you'd pass him again with the Delta? Do you think you'll pass Hamilton again with Delta? Yeah, I'll pass him. I like that energy. I like that. He was so chill about it. Yeah, I'll pass him. Yeah, no bother. So Verstappen just did a 17.8 across the line. Hamilton, I think, has just got past Piastri. Yeah, he did. Russell did an 18.2. Hamilton also did a 17.8. Piastri pitted, that's why. Oh, not a great start for Piastri. I feel like I don't just pit Norris for softs now and yeah. I agree. I completely agree with you, Wilco. They've basically closed that gap, and now they're giving 3 or 4 laps for Max to build the lap back up again, because that's exactly what he's doing on the fresh tyres. I feel like they should have boxed him straight away, but I think he'll come back out behind Max, what, 8 seconds? Oh, again, 3.6 seconds wasn't a great start. Oh, is he going to come out ahead of him? Just came out ahead of George Russell. Hulkenberg's got a penalty for something. 5 seconds. What's happened to Nico Hulkenberg? Oh, speeding in the pits. There you go. Yeah, that's huge for Norris. But the gap is back up to 8 seconds now, and they're on pretty much the same tyres. Three laps difference. And now the gap is back up to 8 seconds. Well, I don't think he's going to get it now, because on the same tyres, same tyre, life, Max will win. Surely. I don't know. I'm just not sure I understand this strategy. I'm just not sure I get it. I'm not sure I get it. Remember, Lewis is going to have to manage this soft to the end as well, so it's not a given. Well, I think what happened was, and this is just my opinion, I think George burnt through his tyres, and this has happened a few times. I think he burned through his tyres. Norris got past him. Lewis was then right behind him until we pitted. But I think he had to pit that early because he burnt through the tyres. And so I could be wrong, and we'll find out after the race in exactly what the call was and the strategy, and that might not be true. That's how it appeared to me, though, that he had to stop because of burning through the tyres, but I could be wrong. Because he pitted, what, lap 38? 12 laps he's had on those hard tyres. I mean, Lewis isn't exactly breezing past him, though, is he? Lewis was in DRS. He's not in DRS anymore, so Lewis is hardly breezing past him, guys. Just to be clear. New fastest lap for Lando. 6.7, the gap now. He was a second quicker than Verstappen. Norris did a 17.3. Verstappen did an 18.2. Guys, I don't think Lewis has got the pace. Perez pitting. Lewis doesn't look like he has the pace on that tyre to get past George. That's weird. Doesn't look like it, though. I think Verstappen will Ah, there you go. Max is being told that Lando's pushing and not saving tyres. I think Max is still saving. And so Max will either let him burn through his tyres or he'll push when he needs to push. Yeah. 17-9. Penalty for Sonoda as well. Speeding in the pits. We saw a couple people coming steaming into the pits, though, didn't we? As Perez gets past Ocon. I tell you what, Perez has had a pretty... well... Starting in 11th, currently running in 9th. 10 seconds off Gasly in 8th place. I mean, what's going on there? Like, what's going on with Perez? Yeah, he had 3 stops, but I mean, he's had 3 stops. Why? You know what I mean? Oh! I tell you what, Lewis wasn't having any of that shit, was he? Lewis just... that was nice by Lewis, actually. I thought Lewis was going to back out of that. Lando, 5.6 behind. Well, it's just gone to 5.7. Verstappen did a 17.9. Norris did a 17.1. 8 tenths quicker on that last lap. But how much more tyres does Max have? Presumably, plenty. It sounds like he's been saving. I think George will be mad, but what I am seeing, and you guys can tell me if you do, George burnt through his medium tyres, I think, and had to pit early, which is why they had to put him on the hard tyres. They had no choice but to put him on the hard tyre because he pitted on lap 38. He couldn't put softs on then. And so my understanding of it was that, yeah, George will feel aggrieved, but as Wilco was finally put there, I think George may have screwed himself. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see, won't we? I just feel like he burned through those tyres and there was no choice but to stop for those hards too early. And listen, just because Lewis is ahead now, there's 13 laps left and Lewis has to run on those soft tyres. There's no guarantee he'll stay ahead. Just to be clear, if those tyres drop off, George will be there. Fernando Alonso running in 13th place. Just ahead of his teammate, running in 14th. Can you explain that to me, Wilco? Like, how does that even... how does that even work? Like, shouldn't it literally be the opposite? No? How does that... How can you have a tyre that's meant to last longer have degradation that's worse than the softer tyre? Maybe that's exactly what it is. Maybe the temperature means that they have brought the softest compound this weekend. So these are the softest tyres. Or are they the hardest tyres? I can't remember now. I'll have to look at my own video that I made. So they're telling Max to push to the end. They're giving him a strap mode, telling him to push. Norris is 5.4 seconds behind. I think Norris is quick, but I don't think he's going to have enough in it, in my opinion, to bridge that gap and get past in 12 laps. Let me have a look here. No, it's the soft. No, yeah, C1, C2, C3. Yeah, it is the hardest tires. Oh, Ferrari doing team orders. Fair play. Sainz actually let Charles Leclerc through. I mean, they have different strategies. There's no point fighting it, but fair play. You've got Alpine running really well, to be fair. Gasly in 8th. Ocon in 10th. Perez is closing the gap to Gasly, but, you know, not at an incredible pace. Yeah, Carlos's home race. Yeah, but he's running on the hards and Charles Leclerc's running on softs. They've ended up on a different strategy, haven't they? Gap has leveled at the front now. In fact, it's increased a little bit. Max just did a 17.7 and Norris did a 17.9. I just feel as though they would have had a better chance of winning this race if they pitted the same time as Max in that final stint. Norris had got it down to, what, a 4-second gap. And then they pitted at pretty much the 3 laps apart or whatever it was. And that gap then increased to 8 seconds because of the tyre delta. I feel like maybe if they pitted at roughly the same time, there would have been a better chance. I don't know. I also agree with what you said there, Wilco. There was no real need to separate and to make Carlos move out of the way like that, because he would have got past on those soft tyres, you assume. Yeah, Max had new and Norris's were 3 laps old, but we've seen that Norris has raw pace when he needs it. I think certainly if he was able to maybe control the strategy from the front, he'd have had a much better chance, wouldn't he? It certainly didn't help him being overtaken by George and Max in the first stint, admittedly. Yeah, it didn't help, did it? McLaren is still quick. You know, he's pushing. Verstappen there did an 18.3 and Norris did 17.6. There might have been a lapped car. Let me get my track map back up. There might have been a lapped car, which is why there was a discrepancy before. Oh, it could have been Joe Guan Yu, yeah. And Lance Stroll they were going past, which might have caused a bit of a discrepancy. They're telling Charles Leclerc to pick up the pace. I mean, why? He's not going to catch Russell. Why do they need to pick up the pace? He's ahead of his teammate. They ain't going to catch George Russell. I don't know why they're telling him to pick up the pace. He's 0.2 a lap quicker than George Russell. Nowhere near enough to catch him. Yeah. Oh, my Mueller, thank you so much for the 6 months of gifted sub to Sean. Thank you so much. That's very kind. Thank you. Is anyone able to is anyone able to explain to me what's happened to Yuki Tsunoda, by the way? I know he had a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits, but he's currently down in 19th, 12 seconds behind Albon. What's happened to Yuki Tsunoda? Ricciardo's down in 16th. RB, as you say, have had a terrible weekend, but I'm not sure what's happened there. Thank you, Mamula. That's very, very kind. I very much appreciate that. Yeah, he had a 5-second penalty, as I say, but you take that off, and he'd still be in 19th place, 6 seconds away from Albon. So they've gone backwards this weekend, RB, haven't they? Maybe this track just highlights their weaknesses, because, yeah. I don't know. Absolutely sick of it. This is also a very good point that Bernie Collins is making on the broadcast right now about Perez. You know, he was in 11th. It is quite hard to overtake around here, especially in DRS trains. And I think, you know, Perez's race was ruined by having to work his way through traffic and what have you. Well, as it happens, he hasn't really worked his way through traffic because he's in 9th and he started 11th. Has stopped 3 times for varying reasons. And so, yeah. Right, 4.8 seconds is the gap. Max and Norris doing very similar times last time around. Let me ask you a question here, guys. Do we think this is another race that Max could win here, but that someone else should have? I think Canada was a prime example of Max won. Oh, Albon. Max won, and he did a fantastic job. But Russell in particular, I think he messed up and he should have won that race. And I feel as though the strategy for Norris hasn't been great. I do think that Max has made the difference, undeniably. You know, he as a driver, he is currently making the difference. There's no doubt about that. But I feel these past 2 races shouldn't have been won by Red Bull, yet they're going to be. I feel like there was opportunities for teams to win here. Well, maybe only McLaren, I think. I think there was opportunities for McLaren here and Mercedes in Canada. So... yeah, Albon's just like, yeah, don't tell me it's okay. What the hell was that? Fucking hell. Alonso's going to be lapped by Lewis Hamilton. Now, Hamilton is in 3rd place here, but Aston were in such a good position, and now they're getting lapped by a Mercedes. And it doesn't really... they're getting lapped by a McLaren, and then a Mercedes, but they were in such a good position. We need to study what's happened to this Aston Martin. We really need to study what's happened to it because it's mind-boggling. Patrick with the 6-7 months. Thank you very much. Stoke, how you doing? Good afternoon. Yeah, Charles Leclerc. No, he's 5th. Oh, will he get 4th? No. No. He's not quick enough. Well, he was half a second quicker the last lap, though. No. Oh, Russell would be spitting feathers if he lost 4th place to Charles Leclerc. He'd be furious. I don't think it's enough. I don't think he's got enough pace. Tell Lewis to drop back and give me DRS. Calf, good afternoon. Oh, Charles, you're going wide, mate. What are you doing, lad? I tell you what, he's now only just over 2 seconds behind. So, Russell just did a 19.3. Leclerc did an 18.5. Again, another 0.8 of a second. Norris was also 0.3 quicker than Verstappen. So the gap is now down to 3.9 seconds, but there's just not enough laps. Not enough laps. No, and Max is just super... Like, he's so consistent. Max is so consistent. And this season, I think if he wins the championship, it'll be the best one for him because he's really having to work for it. And he's having to pull wins for the team when they arguably don't have the best car on that weekend. He's making the difference for Red Bull right now. It's not just the car. The car's good, but it's not the best every weekend. He's getting the most out of it. Undeniably. And he just doesn't make mistakes. He's super consistent. George Russell has ruined the end of the race. What do you mean? Oh, with his overtake at the start, do you mean? George Russell just likes to fuck up everyone's day, doesn't he? I tell you where Charles Leclerc gains massively in the final sector. So we're on lap 64. We're going to have 2 full laps after this, and Charles Leclerc is now 1.4 seconds behind George Russell. Norris is only 3 seconds behind Verstappen as well. Everyone wants George Russell to get overtaken. What the fuck? I don't think it's going to be enough, guys. I think he'll get close, but I don't think he'll get him. My gut instinct says that there won't be enough. Russell is only 2 point... screw George Russell, sorry. Norris is only 2.7 behind Verstappen. Another 0.8 of a second. Oh, George has got a back marker in front of him as well. Stroll. Stroll's going to give Russell DRS. That's going to save him. That's 100% going to save him. Because even if Charles Leclerc gets into DRS now down the back straight, Russell will also have it. Yeah, so Charles Leclerc is going to get DRS here, but so is George Russell. Oh, Russell doesn't have it. Oh, that's curious. He was definitely within a second. Why didn't he get it? It looked like he was within a second. Oh, he's behind him, but we're on the last lap. Norris is 2.4 seconds behind Verstappen, so that's, I mean, it's game over. He can't make that distance. I thought George was going to have DRS then. I'm surprised he didn't. So the DRS down the back straight, that's the only place Charles Leclerc can get him, really. Stroll's got out of the way. Charles Leclerc locked up there. I don't think he's close enough to get him down that... Nah, he's fucked it. He locked up. He fucked it. He needed to be right on his tail. Verstappen wins. A deserved win for Verstappen in the end. He drove really, really well. Norris comes second. I still feel with a better strategy. They could have done better there. Lewis gets third. George will hold fourth. Oh, it was spicy there at the end, but I just feel with a slightly better strategy, Norris could have won that race. I feel like I don't mean this in a bad way against, but it's not like they're being gifted wins, but I feel like other teams are making it easier for them to win right now. Those were two races that I think other teams should have won. And Max made the difference there, but other teams could have won those two races. They could have won those two races. TMI Mueller, thank you very, very much. Have a lovely remainder to your weekend. A well-earned win for Max. I think Norris and McLaren will be kicking themselves, though. Yeah, it was a good race. I don't understand why they kept Norris out on that second stint. He got the gap down to under 4 seconds, and by keeping him out long, it got back up to 8.5, 9. I just don't get it. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was just a bit daft. Yeah. Norris angry with the start. That radio message tells you everything you need to know. Norris literally like, yeah, we should have won. I fucked up the start. And that's what it came down to. They should have won that race. McLaren had better pace. They should have won that race. Canada should have been won by Mercedes, I think. And Spain should have been Norris. Yeah, if they just stuck to a more normal strategy there, and if they did what Red Bull did with the undercut, they win that race. I think that's the frustrating thing. Red Bull being dominant and Max being dominant is one thing, but when other teams should be winning and they're making mistakes that mean they're not, I think ultimately Red Bull performed well and Max didn't make any mistakes, made the overtakes he needed to do. They weren't the quickest car this weekend. And so, but he was consistent. He's always there. And if other people make mistakes, Max will punish you. And that's exactly what happened. And maybe Wilco's right. Maybe they just didn't, believe in how quick the car was. No, Norris's first stint wasn't great, but they were stuck. Beast. They were stuck behind Russell. They were in this big DRS train. I think once he bridged the gap in that middle stint, if he pits the lap after Max, I believe he wins that race. Personally. I think if he pits the lap after Max in that stint, he wins the race. With the pace he had at the end, but there we go. There we go, kids. So on paper, it looks like, oh, Red Bull, another win. But, you know, wasn't quite that straightforward, was it? Wasn't quite that simple. Anyway, there we go. I enjoyed it. It was a good race. There was good moments to the race. I had fun. Yeah. And isn't that all we can ask for? Yeah, you got Austria, which will be good. It's always good for racing, Austria. And then Silverstone. So, you know, that's going to be... Yeah, I mean, Russell knows full well... not Russell. Lando knows full well that he fucked it. He fucked it. And I don't even mean that in a critical way. It was a great start from George. Basically, George fucked that race for us. If any of you want to hate George Russell anymore, the reason Lando didn't win that race, I believe, is because of George Russell. However, just remember that Max was already past Lando as well at the start. So, you know. Anyway. Go send your love to Free Dog. Playing bloody Splinter Cell. What a chad. And I'll see you nerds tomorrow. Fucking dickhead blood. Right. I love you all. Thank you very much. Thank you for the YouTubes. Thank you for the Twitch. I will see you on the flip side tomorrow. Have a lovely rest of your weekend. Goodbye.